I'm very operationally minded. I know how to forecast. I know Excel. I build all our forecasting by hand, 0 templates. And I think that's an insanely important skill to have as an operator. Because once you build something from scratch, you can then build something with AI. It's the same thing. It's the same formula. It's just programmatic.
Imagine working 7 to 7 in a finance job, having to come home and work on your side hustle all through the night. And that's what Novi did at Graymatter for over 3 years before he finally took the plunge and went all in on his business with his partner, Jim. This is a great episode. Novi's really smart. We talk about make sure you call your customer. They called over 100 customers, and what they discovered completely changed the nature of their business. How to be a lifelong learner and never lose that beginner's mindset, and the perils of what happens when you do lose it. And we talk about data, how to be in the weeds, how to really build a system around your brand, and what that really means. And it's a lot more detailed than I think most founders realize. This is a really, really good episode. You're going to learn a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, what to do next, Novi from Graymatter. So Novi, welcome to What to Do Next. Really excited to have you here.
Hey, David, nice to meet you. I'm super excited to kind of get into it too.
Yeah, listen, let's talk about some of the key moments in the business. But before we get there, we'd love to hear how Graymatter came to be, where you are now, and where you're hoping it's going to go.
I feel like there's so many places to start, but Graymatter is about 3.5 years old now. We started it with the mission of just being a flagship cognitive supplement at its core. You know, we were kind of unconventional duo, started as a side project, so really wasn't kind of like our full thing until probably 18 months ago. Both had very radically different backgrounds, not brand owners and not in e-commerce and not in CPG. So it was a massive, probably uphill battle. And, you know, now looking back, you know, it was like really interesting that we started it. We probably were definitely against all odds from the very beginning, but, you know, we're on the other side now and, you know, have a ton of great partners. We're growing super fast. We've figured a lot out in the last 4 years, kind of just staying in like a beginner's mindset. And yeah, that's kind of like a quick genesis of Graymatter, the brand.
And you were in PE, I think, prior, right?
Yeah. So my background is strictly financial. I went to college. I played football at FSU, graduated. I went immediately into PwC. 9 months into PwC, I was like, accounting is definitely not for me. Big Four accounting was not for me. The corporate environment was definitely not for me. So I went into investment banking as an analyst in Tampa at a small boutique. Then I moved quickly to Chicago, started my first official banking stint there. I was at a place that was an investment bank and fund and had a trading desk and like a hedge fund, not a hedge fund, but call it like a alternative investment strategy. And I was there for 6 or 7 years before leaving to then a bigger fund in Kansas City. I was like a multi-billion-dollar fund. So my whole career has been in B2B SaaS and not anything brand related. And
now you sell a supplement to enhance cognitive function.
Yeah.
So where did that transition happen for you?
So it was super interesting. It was mid-COVID. I was like super deep in my career at this point. I'm past an associate as an investment banking associate. I've been like leading certain deals. I was then starting to break into, call it like the venture side of our strategy. And I was tasked with heading up e-commerce. So that was actually tangential, like e-commerce, but not in the ways that you would think about it probably. It was e-commerce infrastructure. So think about like the Shopify's, the Klaviyo, different marketing tech stacks, like what was making these brands and like e-commerce work? Like what does the commerce stack look like in the 21st century? So that was where I was tasked with, not the brands itself. Like we were powering what the brands are built on. So that was my lens, and I was doing a lot of research, kind of was just getting that franchise going. And I met Jim on his rooftop. Jim was a multi-time founder that had also just started an e-commerce brand, and he was working at Charm. So there was so much natural kind of overlap just in our professional lives at that point. We started talking, you know, we probably talked for a couple hours on his rooftop. I don't know why he was talking to me, like just some 20, I don't even know. That was 5 years ago, some like 27-year-old, 25-year-old kid, we really hit it off. And that was like the beginning of everything. And so that's Graymatter kind of started, never really officially started as like, hey, let's start a company. We just started doing things together. Like we were just like, hey, I've been researching this market. What data do you have here? We had the idea on the rooftop and then we executed on it and it turned into, Graymatter as it is today.
So Graymatter was not a product at that point when you and Jim met?
No, Graymatter was literally an idea. It didn't even have a name yet. We were just, the whole thing was he had been supplementing so many different parts of his body, his mind. Like he was supplementing for fundamentally different things than I was. He was looking for anti-anxiety and how to focus and how to keep your homeostasis when you're with your cortisol, how to actually make your brain function better. And I was still supplementing like I was a linebacker like as an analyst. And I'm stacking creatine, taking my amino acids, taking protein. And I'm thinking to myself, like, one, I'm not supplementing the right things because I'm not on the field anymore. I don't really need all this power output. And two, I was super intrigued on what he was saying. I was just like, I was struggling with a lot of the things that he was trying to self-medicate. And it really resonated with me. And right there was the aha moment. I kind of told him, I was like, hey, why do you think no one's ever created the Gatorade for the mind? Like, why is no one trying to supplement their mind when they're going into anything, whether it's like for us, we're both Division I athletes. We knew what it was like to be there for the big game, have trained your whole life for this moment and not show up. Has nothing to do with your physical performance. It's just like, you're not locked in.
Hi, I'm David. I'm the president of HighBeam. But before that, I built a brand called David's Tea from 0 to 200 million in sales, and I took it public on the NASDAQ. HighBeam is a banking and cash management platform for consumer brands. It's the bank I wish I had when I was building David's Tea. We'll turn banking from a cost center for you today into a profit center for you tomorrow. We'll make you better cash back on ad spend. We'll maximize your yield on idle working capital through daily automated sweeps. And we have a host of AI-powered tools to save you a boatload of time. Check us out at highbeam.com and let's talk.
And that was the clicking for us where it was like, hey, I think there's something here. Let's go pursue this. Like, how do we even do this? What's a contract manufacturer? What's a white label versus proprietary formula? How do we do R&D? Is like day one questions where we're just like, what do? We need to go figure it out and Google some stuff, which was the beginning days.
Right. And it's easy to kick the tires, but I'm always interested in the moment where you decide to quit your job. And if there's someone listening to this right now who's like dabbling and they have a side hustle, how does something go from side hustle to, okay, I am going to stop what is currently paying my rent and go full time into building this business? Bring us back to that moment.
I mean, it's different for everybody. For me, that bar was so high. I'm just going to tell you this, and this isn't just to be like bragging or anything, but when I was 25, I cleared over $500,000. And it was like, for me, that was like life-changing money.
A lot of people, that's a lot of money. I mean, for most people, that's a lot of money.
For me, it was like incredible. I had been afforded to buy a home for myself. I didn't have to worry about prices walking to the grocery store. It was like this insane amount of money that I didn't even think I would make until I was well into my 30s or 40s or whatever. I didn't even know if I would ever make that much money. So for me, it was like the bar was now so high. I'm so into my career. I'm like, okay, I can only do more than this. And if you fast forward to 8 months ago when I quit my job, to quit back then would have been unfathomable, because it was an idea. It was nothing. It was like the side project. We fast forward, like working without getting really paid anything for about 3.5 years. It came to like a real decision point where we went out to raise a real round. Like it was like $1.3 million that we raised from a syndicate of like pretty serious investors. No one wants to invest in a founding team that's not full time. Like it's just not going to happen. And so I'm on these calls and they're like, hey, like, so what's the deal? Like, what, are you full time? But they see my LinkedIn. They obviously know I'm not full time. The first requisite of a founder is you have to be full time. They're like, we don't back people with side jobs or side projects. At that point, we're right on the finish line of like potentially raising this money. We're still not big enough to sustain me and Jim. Like it's not that big. It's definitely not enough to sustain $500,000 salary with carry into a fund. And that's just not even remotely close. So, but I saw the writing in the wall. Like, I mean, I was in banking, I was strictly working for other founders, right? Like you see these crazy exits and it's not the banker making a lot of money. It's the founder making a lot of money because they put in all this work. And then I'm advising entrepreneurs on how to do this. And I'd never really gone down the journey until I had this side project. And it's kind of, for me, it felt like I'm sitting on the sidelines and telling, LeBron James what to do. And I've never played basketball. That's what it felt like. Like I would talk to these founders and I'd be like, what, who am I to tell the CEO of a company with like $100 million, anything about anything? And at that point, I'm like, I have to quit my job. Like we're right here. We're right about to take this. This is the swing, right? And I knew it was the swing of my life, at least to date, because it was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. And my fiance and everybody in the world was telling me I'm crazy. I'm anxious. I can't sleep. It's been months. And I knew like deep down, if you don't do this, you will be in finance, right? For the rest of your life, you'll have a great, you'll probably be fine, but will for 100% regret it for the rest of your life. And I that's what I couldn't live with. And, I just quit.
Well, you quit and you took a pay cut.
Right. Like one thing is going all in when you have already nothing. Like that's like, yeah, if you're a founder and you're not employed, go all in. But when you have a career you've dedicated your life to, like you said, like you're taking a massive pay cut, you have to move, you have to downsize, you have to tell your fiance like, hey, like, I don't know how we're going to pay for the wedding. I don't know how we're going to pay for this lifestyle that we kind of have that, like, you love the vacation. I don't know if we can do the vacation for like a little bit. And that conversation is super tough. And I'm so thankful I made it. But it came to that point where it was like, you can no longer be working in finance and in private equity and have this business.
Why at that moment not just keep bootstrapping it, have it as a side hustle lifestyle business, keep doing your thing? Like, what was it about that moment that you guys said, no, we need to raise and go all in, even if it means some sacrifice, versus just delaying it and punting it? I mean, you had punted it for a considerable amount of time prior to that. Like, why then?
I think it was starting to get just unmanageable. Like when you think about when you're doing something as a side project, Jim would work in the morning from like 7 to 6, 7 p.m. I would pick up at like 7 p.m. or sometimes 8, 11 to 2 a.m. And we would just do that for 3 years. And I mean, to do work in private equity and work a side gig is so hard. One, none of your friends they're just like, what are you doing with your life? Your fiance feels like she's alone. Like my girlfriend / fiance now, who we're getting married to, she felt super alone. She's like, you're here working on the computer while we're watching Netflix. Like, I don't know. I haven't talked to you in like 3 weeks. When's the next time we're going to go on a date? When's the next time we're going to do anything? I mean, it was like that for 3 years. And what's happening is at work, I was starting to think about Graymatter. Like at work, I'm like, oh my gosh, we should be doing this. And I can't do anything till like 7 p.m. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, what is this? Like, I'm thinking about all these things we should be doing, and I can't do it. And it was getting to the point where I would think I would be sitting at my desk daydreaming about what to do. And then I'm like, I'm not doing the right thing. If I'm sitting at my desk and I'm not all in on this anymore, I'm thinking about something else. Like I need to go doing that. And that's what really was the difference, is like, I'm not passionate about this anymore. I'm passionate about this other thing. I'm passionate about building. I'm like obsessed with this other thing. So I had to. I mean, even if I didn't quit, somebody would have been like, I can tell you're not in this. Like it was that pronounced that I shouldn't be doing this.
You go all in, you raise money, and I believe you guys had a huge issue right after that. Your manufacturer basically went bankrupt.
So funny. Like I quit, go all in, move to back to Florida. You know, I'm on like a quarter of what my old income used to be. And, you know, we get all this press, which is funny. We got a lot of press from the round. And I'm kind of thinking like, okay, this was the right decision. And immediately after, it's like, hey, our manufacturer's bankrupt. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the next order is going to look like. And I mean, at that point, it's like, that's a crippling thing. Like we don't have like redundancies across the supply chain yet. And our blend is proprietary, like 100% proprietary, even like the flavor itself. So they can't get it right. They can't get the flavor right. It never tastes right. It doesn't like blend correctly. And so I don't know how this happened, but the old owner of the company, of the co-manufacturer that went bankrupt, bought it back out of bankruptcy. And he was like, look, I know that they ran it into the ground. I'm confident I can bring it back and do much better. I'm on the other side. I've seen like things like this. And I'm just like telling Jim, I'm like, I don't know if I don't know what this doesn't seem like anything. Like, I don't know what this is. And so we were talking to that owner almost every day. We're just like, hey, how's the fundraising going? Can I help you? How much money do you need? You know, but he's like a true founder and he's also pretty wealthy. I think he figured it out. And he was just like, look, I'm either going to raise money or I'm going to bootstrap it. I have this backlog of new customers that can fuel us like bridging here. But he's like, I'm going to tell you the truth. Like, I don't know what we're going to do for you guys in the next, 3 months. And at this point, we're growing super fast. So we told him, we're like, look, we have a PO for $300,000+. If we front you the money, he was like, you need to front me that, like the entire thing. There's no like terms. There's no 50% now, 10% now.
Do you imagine if this happened and you hadn't raised the money and you were still bootstrapping? I mean, you would have been over.
I mean, yeah, it would have been super terrible, but we're like, if we take this bet, right? The whole thing was like, do we give him $300,000 for this product? We're founders too. I know he's not going to put it all into that. He's probably going to have to make things work.
Right.
But he's kind of asking us at that time. He's like, look, trust me. I need this. You need this. I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to deliver on these timelines. And, I talked to Jim, and Jim, super wise guy as he is, he was just like, look, this is a gamble, but if this works, he will be forever make us his best customer ever. Like if this works, he will never forget us. Like we are keeping him alive, and we kind of have to do what we have to do, and we did it. And I mean, he was completely right. We have the closest relationship you can to a manufacturer. We talk to them weekly. We have a Slack channel with them. I have the CEO's number. He loves us. And we helped him through that dark time, and he helped us through our dark time. And now, we have POs coming out every month, and he's also part of the story of why we can grow at this like hyperscale type growth, is because they need to be like super on their stuff. Like we're anal about everything. Like and the numbers have to work. If the inventory even doesn't work for a month, it cripples everything, because we're on a very, very fast turnover. We're running through products very fast.
So, Novi, I mean, I can't help but think, if I was in that position, I mean, at David's Tea, we had, I don't know, 5 key tea suppliers. So if any one, there was lots of redundancy. I mean, it's wonderful that you have a great relationship with him now and that he delivered and that you guys were there in the moment of need. But your investors must be saying, okay, that's nice, but what's plan B if this ever happens again? Have you since found options that can produce your product?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think that was like,
there's a wake-up call.
Right. Call it just like right after everything's all good, apparently.
And what did these investors say, right? You just took their money and you're like, actually, we're going to pre-fund an order with a manufacturer who may go out of business.
To be fair, we didn't use equity for that. That would be a little like irresponsible, in my opinion. We definitely didn't use equity for it. We used debt to fund that, to see if they'll make it, right?
But nonetheless, though, I mean, debt on the business. If as an equity investor, I'm like, oh, I just invest in the business, and they pulled debt and pre-funded a supplier who's 50-50 is going to be in business in a few months.
100%. So at that time, then it was kind of like all hands on deck on like, one, the business still had to perform, right? We were performing at a super high level. So the business itself, if you didn't know about this, we still put the PO in well before we needed it. We still were well stocked. Like from the surface, you would know, all you would see is everything up and to the right. You wouldn't even know this happened. And I mean, to be honest, I think that's how it should be, right? Like that type of blip shouldn't ruin our business, or like how are we not going to be the type to problem solve that? Let's say that even the manufacturer does go out of business. We had spoken to 10 other manufacturers all across the United States. We'd even thought about like, okay, well now we're forced to have a footprint that's probably more efficient. So like we have the Southeast covered right now. Let's go find one on the West Coast. He figures his stuff out. We have the West Coast. We now can like kind of bifurcate the country and try to and go about it that way. It was a big deal, but it wasn't something that we weren't going to figure out. Like we have to figure it out.
And for this to not affect the business on the surface, meaning as an investor, sales are up and to the right, I have more than enough inventory, it means you guys are buying inventory well ahead of the curve.
And I don't know how it's hard because I don't know that many other CPG founders or like how they do it. We have like really, really, really good forecasting, like really good. And I don't know, I've heard that other people just don't have this from our manufacturer, but we know our demand monthly in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months, in the next 12 months. It changes real time. So I can see it in our like homegrown inventory management app. We don't use like any other software. We built it ourselves off our algorithms, off our kind of like Excel modeling that I know. So we just have a really intimate knowledge of what our turnover is, what we need. At first we were on a 8-month kind of like lead time, or sorry, not 8 month, 8 week. We moved it to like 6 weeks. We're now moving it down to 4 weeks. So we run at a negative cash conversion cycle. So I know exactly what I need next month. I'll put in that order. Let's say it's wrong, and then it's never been wrong, but let's say it is wrong. I only messed up 4 weeks worth of inventory. So it's like I'm never going to be sitting on a ton ever. We run out of inventory before it's even paid back. And that's kind of how we plan to operate it.
But you keep safety stock, or?
The safety stock is built into the next order.
Got you. Interesting.
Because it's a recurring revenue business, like I have to order not only for our subscribers, but for net new orders. So I know exactly how much queued revenue I have. I know exactly how much net new revenue I'm going to get because of the CAC and the NCPA. And I know that we don't operate above, or we treat that NCPA as like the North Star for all teams, and all teams are responsible for all their channels. Every single channel has a goal, and every single channel blends into a certain CAC. That is the CAC ceiling. So the whole like organization is working toward this one number, and we don't veer from that number even like 10%. Like last month we ended it at within 2% of that goal, and we did exactly what we were going to do on all fronts.
And no, for everyone listening, CAC is customer acquisition costs. What's NCPA?
New customer acquisition costs.
So how many times a year are you turning your inventory?
12.
Okay, but if you're turning your inventory 12 times a year, which is incredible, most retailers who do it 3 times are in good standing, right? When this supplier turned to you and said, I can't produce, presumably you only have 1 month of stock, no?
No. So at that time we weren't on this.
Okay.
Yeah. They had to prove themselves before we moved to that. This was a long time ago. This was like 8-9 months ago.
Got you. So you were buying big stock worth of inventory, which gave you that cushion. Are you at all worried that if something were to happen again, that you're on such tight just-in-time ordering that it would really impact you?
Not really, because the orders just stack. If you think about it, like I order the manufacturer still has lead times, and like those vary from 6 to 8 weeks. So I'm going to put in next month order in 4 weeks.
I see. So they're holding safety stock for you.
You're right. They have such good visibility into like the raw materials we need. And not only that, we're like hounds on them, where it's like, hey, like you need X, you need this, and you need like this many kilos of it. And if you don't have this, we can't put in this next order. And they're like, okay. And because they're all stacked on each other, it's like, even if June comes in a little light, we still have another PO that's bigger than June's stacked right behind it. So it's this like, almost like this cascade effect to where it insulates us from a miss. If they miss, there's still so much behind that it's going to be fine.
If something bad were to happen like it did, June was produced in April, let's say, or I got you. Okay.
Right. So like so it's like you almost have safety stock built in because you're putting the POs on time. Whether they deliver it on time is a different story, but you're not going to not put in the PO.
I mean, you have a P background, so you came with a level of financial discipline. How important is that for operators?
So this is a very interesting question. I think you need both. I think I was super lucky to have the background I have. Like I'm very operationally minded. I know how to forecast. I know Excel. I build all our forecasting by hand, like just zero templates. And I think that's a insanely important skill to have as an operator. Like if I look at these people that are in banking or private equity that know how to model, but what's really interesting is it translates really well to building anything. Because like once you build something from scratch, you can then build something with AI. It's the same thing. It's the same formula. It's just programmatic. For me, that's been like my force multiplier, is like being so tight at these things. Now, what I'm not good at, that my co-founder is amazing at, which is, I think, super key, is like, I'm not, and I don't know, I'm not going to say I'm bad at it, but I'm not a go-to-market minded CEO. And I've also never been a CEO. He is the CEO and he's very go-to-market minded. He's like all go-to-market, which I actually think, even sitting on the investment side, was always an asset to a CEO. What do you want your CEO to be really good at? It's go-to-market. It's not even tech. It's not anything else. It's go-to-market. Because if your CEO is not good at go-to-market, everybody's sitting there where like the product's so good, customer service is so good, the CTO is a genius. Why can't we make any money? It's like, well, you don't have go-to-market. You don't have that like guy. Jim is that guy for us. And then I am kind of just allowing the team to give the guardrails to run as fast as humanly possible. Basically, every month, Jim's like, I need to spend more. And I'm like, at this CPA, you can send whatever you want. You could run this to time eternal. And that's what happened last month. I mean, we went 3 times over our ad budget because the CPA kept going down, which never happens. We spent $300,000 more than we thought we were going to spend because the NCPA kept going down every day.
What happened?
A landing page.
Just one landing page was better than the 100 other landing page you had tried.
I think what happened, and it's a culmination of like learning how to build a brand, is we now have like a really good idea of who our ideal customer is. Like really good. Like I know what they listen to. I know who they are. I know where they work. I know how old they are. I know so much about our customers, and I know what buckets they're in. And we didn't know that. It took a long time to figure that out. It took a long time, like who really is our customer. And now that we know that landing page is speaking to them and converting at such a high rate. And we were sending so much traffic to a generic PDP, and it just wasn't, that was the unlock. Like that was a massive unlock. And now our whole funnel is personalized. Like the ad is personalized to that person. The landing page is personalized to that person. The checkout experience is personalized to that person. The post-purchase experience is personalized to that person. We have 3 different post-purchase experiences based on who you are. We have a bucket for parents. We have a bucket for people that are switching off of prescription stimulants, and they have this full funnel experience.
And what did you try at first when you're like, it took us a while to figure out who our customer was? What didn't work, and how did you know it wasn't working? And then how did you land on what ultimately is working for you?
I mean, so if we go back to like October 2024, we did a massive pivot, like and it wasn't really a pivot. The product was the same. We did change the formula a bit. We took out anything artificial, which was really hard to do and really hard to get it to taste good. But then we started like people talk about founder market fit. We were not originally going after who we were. Like I'm a founder. I'm like, I was at the time in private equity. I was an ex-Division I athlete. Like everything I want to do to the best of my ability. Like we weren't building for that person. Same with Jim. Jim is like the same person. We weren't building for ourselves. And it was kind of apparent through the first 100, 200 reviews that the person buying it was not who we originally thought it was. It was like our first 200 reviews were saying this was changing their life because it was getting them through a prescription stimulant shortage of like, you name the drug. And we're sitting there like, I don't like, it was just different. It wasn't what we originally sought out to change. And so the brand itself needed to get the brand and the positioning and the voice needed to change. And that was a huge investment for us. But then that was not even like the hard part. Like that was the easy part. It was like, okay, we've changed the branding now. The positioning is now this. The product is now this. The hard part was then like figuring out who really is the customer. And that took about a year. We talked to, me and Jim have probably individually talked to at least 100 customers, like on the phone, together or by ourselves. We have all of those answers logged. We have a database of every single touch point, first party, third party data point that we can have. That's all contextualized so that we can see like if there are any common threads between them. We've used like really cool technology, like outer signals, part of that stack. So it was a massive investment on just seeing who really are these people, what are their characteristics, what do they like, and then that now is crystal clear to us, and that took about a year and a half to figure out. And we knew what we were trying to do, right? The goal was to figure out who that person was, and we used as much data as possible.
And in the end, you're not the core customer.
I'm not the core customer, not even close. What's interesting is I am a sliver of someone that has ADD or neurodivergent symptoms. Like I do have ADD. So I know intimately what it feels like to have a different mind, have this really interesting experience that not other people feel in a corporate environment, and what they're looking for. I do have that. Jim also is a multi-time founder. We're both athletes, so we do resonate with the bio optimizer, but we don't have kids. And that's one of our main ICPs, is that these parents are out there and they're faced with a really hard decision when their son or daughter is diagnosed with, a condition that the only alternatives they're really offered is a prescription stimulant. And I think there are a ton of other options to treat this, but think about how acute that is as a parent. Like there's no bigger problem at that time. And also you have dual income. So it's like, you're not worried about the price either. And for that reason, it was helping so many people. It's like, at that point, it's like, we really need to get this into as many hands as possible. And then the mission was much greater than just like building a brand for the sake of building a brand.
And you're trying to, originally, I believe you're trying to market to gamers, right?
Actually, it wasn't even gamers. So we always use data. A good thing about me and Jim is like, we're very data driven always. We looked at the data, and the data was saying there's not that many companies in general marketing towards gamers. So we were just like, there's this untapped market. Let's niche down and then branch out because we know it'll work for this person. And that just didn't happen. And that was the one time the data kind of like, maybe it was like, instead of taking a shot in the dark, that was our original, path.
Pays to pick up the phone and actually talk to the customer direct.
You talk to a customer for an hour, 30 minutes, 15 minutes. And you're going to learn so much about that person. And the answers are going to be so much more different than what you think about in your gut. And then when you hear the same answer a couple times, you're like, okay, this is what we got to do. You know what I mean? Like, and it makes it really easy, right? Like having the data just makes it really easy to go then execute on a landing page.
I think there's sometimes a misconception that data means Googling something or finding something from some third party. But when you say data in this context, what you really mean is getting right to the source.
Oh, yeah. I'm saying like we have pop-ups that ask very specific questions. We have logged questions of all our customers. I have properties on Klaviyo on what they actually opened. we have like a lot of data. Like if you think about an e-commerce brand, it's I think the only business you can do this in, because everything's integrated. There's metrics all over the place that you can trace because it's all on the internet. And because of that, you just have this wealth of data. I think a lot of people are probably just don't know where to start, because honestly, there's so much.
Well, how do you turn data into intelligence?
Now it's a little easier with Copilot. I mean, Shopify's Copilot is incredible. You go ask it like, hey, like, what do you think my LTV is and my best customer is? It will give you a fantastic answer because it has so much context. But we built it ourselves, but it's really the calls. I think it's the hard work that's going to do it. Like if just call, like literally just say like, I'm going to talk to 50 customers this quarter. And if you do, and the answers will always be like, we'll match up to the pop-ups, we'll match up to all this infrastructure. And then we did that. So I'd say like the big thing was talking to the customers, understanding who they are, and then reverse engineering what would that person want to feel, look at, touch, talk to during the post-purchase and purchase experience. And that is now working for us.
Novi, tell us about cash management. I know this is really important for you. I know we've done a lot of work with you at Highbeam on it, but talk to us a little bit about how you think about cash management, what founders often get wrong there.
It's such an interesting question because like 8 months ago, I had no idea what any of these like cash conversion cycle was, what cash management was, what a cash flow model really was. Like I was so high level as an investor and as a banker, I could make a 3-statement model for your business, but I don't know how to run your business on a day-to-day. And I think that was actually a gift and a curse because day one, I'm kind of talking to your team, Highbeam, and I'm like, hey, okay, what are these things? What are these metrics? Like, how should I be thinking about them? And they were so gracious with their time. And even thinking back, I was like, you know, it was at least put me in the right directions to what podcasts I need to listen to, what books I needed to read, what metrics I really needed to understand. And then it became, okay, I don't know what a CFO does. I need to talk to CFOs. I have a really good mentor in a guy named Jimmy Hugel out of Chicago, who's the CFO of a company called Driver.ai. He's been a massive mentor for me. And I had to reach out to somebody. I was like, hey, I need a leg up here. I need to fast track my learning here. And so when it came to cash flow management, like that's what I did. I just had to take in as much data again, read podcasts, and then really get a deep understanding of what that is. And then boom, the Highbeam team helped me make a real-time cash flow reporting tool. And in that, it was interesting. We kind of did it's almost like a knowledge for knowledge share where I was like, look, I'm looking at the business like this and you guys are building it like this. I don't think this makes sense. And then they were like, oh, you're right. And lo and behold, like other founders were like, yeah, this isn't really how we do business. Like we do it like this. It was really hard. Like I'd say the first 3 months were probably the hardest of any job I've ever had, just because I didn't really know. I'm super honest with you. Like I'm not going to pretend to know what I knew what I was doing, but it was so good to go through it because I know every dollar that's going through the business because I just had to learn because I was like, okay, what's AP? What are, how are we going to use this float? What is the cost of capital really mean? What facilities, how can I manufacture float? What do we do? And because of, I think I came in with a very unconventional way of thinking about it, we were able to scale the business without spending what we raised for the first 8 months. Like our bank account still had $1 million in it until maybe 2 months ago.
All because you started paying attention to cash flow and understanding how you borrow, when you're paying people, how you utilize your float.
Exactly. Like literally using every tool to your advantage, especially when it comes to networking capital and this recurring revenue that's coming in, to make sure like you don't need to, especially if you have a subscription business, like you shouldn't be using your equity on customer acquisition because it genuinely doesn't make sense. If you can make 6 times your money on acquisition, why would you use your equity there?
Where do you use your equity?
We use our equity for things that like drive, call it like brand, like building the brand, like talent, R&D, things that are actually impactful for the company itself. But acquisition is completely funded by debt.
Novi, I want to go back to something you said early in the interview. You mentioned the importance of any beginner's mindset. What does that mean?
So it's something that is really core to me and Jim's mindset, core to the business. I think it's core to like everybody we hire too. It's very core to meditation. If you've ever done meditation, it's kind of like they always tell you like go in with this beginner's mindset. It's a reason why we partnered with The Way and we offer this guided meditation experience when you become a subscriber. And it really is just always recognizing whether you have a ton of knowledge and like you're David Segal, like you've done so much more than me. And I respect that. But I bet you that if you go into a conversation, you don't just go in thinking, I know everything that's going to happen. I know everything. I like, and that would be a disservice. And I think that's the same with me is like, I might know a little bit about this or like stuff about finance, but I always go in being like, you know what? You don't know as much as you think. You shouldn't. Why don't you see what you can learn today? And if you do that, it just really makes you better at everything. Like, even if you're talking to someone that you don't respect or whatever, like the perspective and like what they're saying and just the awareness of whatever it is, you just take it in and like mix it with your own knowledge and see what happens. And that's the beginner mindset. It's like always being willing to take in feedback, take in things that are happening in your life and looking through it through a lens of like, you don't know it all. And I think the moment you think you know it all,
yeah, those are dangerous moments.
Bad things happen.
Bad things happen. What's your big what to do next moment now?
So I think what's happening now, and this has really just happened in the last 30 days, is we have this deep understanding of who our customer is now, and it took forever to get there. We have an idea of how to execute on the funnel, and we now have raised the funds in a really unconventional way. Like instead of going out and raising, a ton of more equity, which, maybe we will do one day, we needed it now. Like one thing is like, oh, we need $10 million or $20 million to go change the future of mental health. That's going to take 6 months. Like it's not going to happen overnight. But one thing is like, hey, our media buyer thinks we can spend $1 million next month. Where do we get that? And that's kind of like what we just did this last month, where we were talking to so many different lenders, Highbeam being one of them. Highbeam came to the table with like an amazing term sheet that only a CPG mind or like a consumer minded bank would ever put in front of you. I mean, it was like a revolver. It had credit limits. It was built for like D2C spend. And that ended up being the catalyst for other lenders being comfortable with giving us more money to spend on acquisition. We had all this data around our cohorts. So we were able to raise, quite a bit of money, like $4 to $8 million to go spend on pure acquisition. And that's the next phase, right? Is like, if these things stay in line, inventory and acquisition spend, and we're super disciplined, we can grow 1,000,000 times faster than we thought. And that's why we grew close to 100% this month.
And what do you do if the metrics all of a sudden turn out of your favor? Do you just pause the spending and wait?
Yeah, that's what's actually beautiful about how we constructed it, is like we have these like real time, we look at every channel real time daily. So everybody knows how they're pacing towards these certain goals. And we know what the blended NCPA is, which is the new customer acquisition cost. We know what the cohort looks like because there's a real time dashboard. And if it ever shifts, the media buyers within an hour are changing course. They're spending less. So it's like if it ever goes above, they're going to spend less every 2 hours. Same with other channels. If like other channels aren't performing, we're going to ask them like, hey, you're not carrying your weight right now. Like Klaviyo is not carrying enough weight. Why is that? We need to figure it out. Is it campaigns? Is it messaging? Like you have to help Meta. You have to blend down Meta, like, or else this doesn't work. Same with our affiliate channels and organic. So it's kind of like a fail safe. So if we can't really get over leverage because we're looking at everything, and we can pull back the reins. And also when you're a subscription business, 95% of our revenue is recurring. So next month, if let's just say we decided that we just couldn't spend money, we would still make, 95.
Yeah, you'd pay off your debt and you'd be fine. Yeah.
Right. We'd be fine. So it's like we have these guardrails in place to where it's like, one, we're monitoring everything every day. Two, we have the cohort performance that we can see every single day by month. If anything shifts, we change. And also the agreement with our lenders is actually it's based on our forecasts. So we miss our forecast by 80%. They're like, hey, we're not going to give you as much money as you made last month. And that's totally fine with us because that keeps us in check. It's like, okay, well, now we have to spend less and be more efficient. There's kind of these checks and balances in place all over.
When did you know, though, that it was time? I mean, most companies have enormous scale before they start looking at it in real time and making those adjustments on the fly. What was that moment for you guys where you realized we need to dial in on this on a minute by minute basis?
I mean, it just happened 30 days ago to where we really unlocked this, where we can do this type of scale, this growth. But really, it's just because we were kind of born in this AI bubble, right? One of the first conversations I had was with the CFO of Athletic Greens. And the first thing he told me was, he was like, look, if you want to differentiate yourself or the business, you need to learn as much about AI and what the tools are at your disposal and go do something with it. Because like that is going to be what changes the game for all consumer brands in the future. And I kind of took that at face value and I was like, all right, let's learn. Let's see what this is all about. And it's the only industry or like vertical that you have actual real-time metrics on literally everything. Like I don't know any other business that has that where like, I know my cost of goods sold, I know my contribution margin. Triple Whale has 100 different integrations. We have context around all of it. So in my mind, it became almost like, how can it not be real time if Triple Whale is already doing it? I know all these metrics. I know all the unit economics. Let's just go build it. And it was like another like podcast I was listening for. They were like, look, if you don't know how every channel is performing, you have no idea what lever to push or pull from. And so immediately I was like, Jim, if we don't know how every channel is supposed to perform and how they're performing, we have no idea what lever to pull. And like, we just now have insane transparency into these channels and the teams around them. And that's how we operate the business on like a day-to-day basis.
Do you think your background as in PE as an analyst, did it help you? Where did it help you and where did it hinder you?
I think it helped me for sure on how to figure this stuff out. Like my job used to be like, go find what's wrong with this company and like in a nice way, bring it up to them and like, let's change it in the next 6 months because they're about to go out to market. So I was really good at understanding what I could look at a P&L and be like, ooh, I know what's wrong with this business. and like, I could tell you why. I could tell the CFO why. He would look at me and be like, I don't know. It's something about like the high level is the easy part, but then like executing on changing it is really hard to do. So I think my strength was I knew what the problems were always, and I knew how to identify them, and I knew how to build different forecasts to know what we needed. Now, the operator side was the part that was so hard for me to learn, because what I used to do is I used to tell people what the problem was and they would go figure it out. Now there's no one to like talk to. There's no person. Like I don't have an analyst. I don't have like 8 analysts to be like, hey, we need to go do this. You do this, you do this, you do this. Now it's like, hey, you need to go do this. And Jim's looking at me. He's like, yeah, go do it. Like, like you need to do it.
You're the guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, great idea. I want to know if your idea is real. Come back in 3 months and tell me if that idea is real. And it's like that muscle is so, I'm still learning. Like I still have all these ideas. I only pick now like 1 or 2 to go actually try to execute on, but it manifests itself in like, I know the gross margin could be higher. Okay. You know that. What are you going to do about it? Okay. I now look at every fulfillment expense that we have by the line. And I'm like, oh, this looks off. This looks off. They're charging way too much here. We audit every single one, every month, every week. We always audit it, send them our changes, and then pay for a different fulfillment center. Like we audit everything. We noticed that we were paying way too much for shipping. We were able to shave off 16% off our gross margin. And now I didn't know how to do that. I just knew 8 months ago that our gross margin was too low. But then it manifests itself in looking into these fulfillment sheets, looking into what these costs mean, looking into what can you do from a shipping perspective? Like, do you have any control over what carriers you use? You actually do. And you can talk to your manufacturer and be like, hey, let's start using these carriers and have them bid against each other for the best route. I didn't know that at all until I was faced with the problem of figuring out why the gross margin was too high. And that's, I think, the operator side is not going to come naturally, but the investment analysts and being able to see the problems. I mean, that's something that a lot of people will never have because they just don't have that experience. And how to build financial models from scratch, I think, is an amazing tool for anybody, because it just teaches you how to build. You just know how to build things, like whether it's forecast or, for us, it's like some apps or workflows. You just know how to build them. So I'd say that was the good part. And then the bad part of being on the finance side is like, you just don't know how to be an operator, like full stop.
No, but you've certainly figured it out. It sounds like you're at the beginnings of being a 4-year overnight success. And congratulations. It sounds like the business is exploding for you guys. Just a quick lightning round here. What's a metric you track obsessively that most founders in your category are ignoring?
I mean, I want to say NCPA, but I want to say everybody is. So LTV to CAC and contribution margin over CAC.
And when you think of LTV, how far out do you go?
We look at it in 3 ways: our break-even LTV, our 6-month LTV, and our 12-month.
Finish the sentence. Every founder who comes from finance and tries to build a brand should definitely do it in an area that they're passionate about, that they have a little bit of knowledge of, and that they're willing to, go in and learn for sure. And last question, something you believe about building a CPG brand that turned out to be completely wrong.
I used to think brand and positioning was the afterthought, and I thought product, you could outmarket yourself with a halfway decent product. I think brand is actually the most important part of a product and company. I think positioning is like the second most important part, and then I think the product actually might be the most important part. And I think without those three, I don't think you have anything.
How would you define a brand?
So brand, I think a lot of people, and this is something that took us literally till 30 days ago to fully understand. Brand, I think when you talk to other people that don't own brands, they think it's like this, like they think you're talking to them in like with superfluous or like hyperbole on brand. They're like, oh, you have to know who these people are. You have to know their voice, where they are, and like build for them. And they think like, oh, it's so obvious. It's really not. And it's really hard to really learn all those things. And we used to listen to Nick Sharma back in the day, like religiously. And he kind of put it very, very cleanly. He's like, until your product is something that a random person would refer to their best friend as the best thing they've ever done, you don't have a brand. Like, you just have a product. And that's what we anchored ourselves to. Like, what will make Graymatter something that people actually want to tell their friends about?
And it sounds like for you, it was finding the right customer for it.
It was finding the right customer and then making our brand logo experience, the feeling of it, the tone, the font, how we speak to them, all needed to resonate with them. So where they're like, hey, I would share this with another person that's just like me.
Novi, thank you so much. This is amazing. Some incredible insights. I really appreciate you coming on.
David, it was amazing to talk to you. Honestly, like I didn't think I'd ever be on a podcast with you. So I really appreciate it. It's been awesome.